Hi everyone, and we are wearing shorts again. So you could probably guess what's gonna happen next.
We're back with another off-road pickup big test. I know we just did one, but today is a bit more special because we have here the Ford Ranger Raptor.
And the Toyota Hilux GR-S, a highly anticipated big test indeed. So there's nothing else left to do except to get this show off the road. I'm Anton.
And I'm Leander, and this is the big test. Now we're on to the maneuverability test, and I'm just gonna drive through a tight U-turn. There's a big tree here, I'm gonna drive around it. So this truck actually has a much lighter steering feel than the Hilux GR-S, and it also has clear and crisp camera displays. Yeah, I have all these screens at my disposal. I can easily see what's around me, and even when I'm driving forward, I can just turn on the camera. There you go. So there's no need to worry if I'm gonna hit anything. It's just very easy to drive this around here. Very, very easy. Now I'm in the Hilux GR-S and let's go. So right off the bat, I can already feel how much heavier the steering is. In terms of visibility, they're kind of the same because they're both massive, but the Ranger Raptor does have much larger side mirrors, so it's easier to see. I do have a 360-degree camera and a reversing camera, but that's a sorry display. It's almost pixelated. It's kind of sad to look at it. And then I'm driving forward. I don't know if there's an option for me to turn it on. I think I can turn it on. Not very ergonomic, but you have to press it down here. So I can turn it on, and there is a forward-facing camera, but again, the display is very poor. I think through this tight space, it was slightly easier. I mean, the turning radius is a bit better in the Hilux, but the steering is just so much heavier. It's so much heavier, it's just harder to maneuver. This is pretty tight, so I'm gonna give 10 points to the Ranger Raptor and 9 for the Hilux GR-S.
Right, so braking test time, and as always, I will be driving both pickups. And we're gonna see which one, of course, stops the shortest. Let's hit it at 40 and let's see how it stops. All right. So we did the Hilux first. We're gonna see how the Ranger performs. Now, with the Fords, they're usually a lot heavier than the Toyotas and they brake a little bit longer, but we'll see how the Raptor does perform. All right, so we are now in the Ranger Raptor with a bigger brake upgrade in this one. We'll see if there is some improvement, but that Hilux is gonna be hard to beat. So without further ado, let's hit 40 kilometers an hour. Almost pantay. You know what? It's close to the Hilux, but not quite. I mean, you really can't beat physics with this one. The Ranger Raptor is a fair bit heavier than the Hilux, but, you know, good effort from the Ford, but Toyota still wins this one. All right, and for the moment you guys have been waiting for, the acceleration test, but this time around, we're not gonna hit all the way to 100. We are on loose surfaces after all. So we're gonna do a 0 to 50 kilometer per hour run, just so we don't end up, you know, hitting a mound of dirt or something. In 3, 2, 1.
That's very fast.
That's actually not bad because
That's very fast.
this has 20 horsepower less than the Toyota and 50 Newton meters, but this felt pretty sprightly. Yeah.
We'll see how it goes in the Hilux.
Yeah. All right, so it's the turn of the Hilux. So some stats here: 221 horsepower and 550 Newton meters of torque.
That's nearly 20 horsepower and 50 newton meters of torque more than what the Raptor does.
And the Raptor is heavier, so that's also something to take note of.
I'm guessing this will perform better, but let's see. Here's my timer, and let's
All
try to
right.
time it.
To 50 k's an hour we go.
Count me down.
Some wheel spin there, interesting. Oh, 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 that was 70 k's.
That was really fast. Like, it felt so much faster because we hit that part
We were flying.
60 plus lang with the Raptor. We were already at 70.
Yeah,
with the
and
Ranger,
we
with the
were
Hilux.
flying off at one part there. All right, Leander, you are behind the wheel of the pickup I brought in today, the GR Hilux. So, what are we going to do right now with it?
We're driving through a short trail, just a short, light off-roading trail, but we're going to test for ease of use when you're driving off-road, which is something very important because not all of the people who are going to buy this are off-road experts. So if they want to do take this off-road, they're not going to be able to tinker around with something that's not very user-friendly. So it's kind of my first stint at driving this through this trail. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. When you're driving a 4x4, the controls are really easy, but not all of them are here. Like unlike in the Ranger Raptor, the Hilux has its rear diff lock,
Yeah.
and its
Downhill
hill
assist
descent
control, yeah.
hill descent control, and the traction control. You can all see them in buttons here. So it's actually pretty ergonomic.
Yeah.
But I also pointed out earlier when I was doing the maneuverability test that the 360-degree view monitor, you
Oh,
have
yeah,
to
you
press
should
it
see.
over here.
Oh, and you should see the resolution.
Yeah, not only is it bad, but it's also pretty hard to reach. But I mean, driving it off-road, it's very, very straightforward. And these aren't hard trails, just to be clear. But if you want to be the one, like you want to buy your pickup and you want to take it straight off the beaten path, you're going to be fine with a GR Hilux. It's a pretty capable off-roader. It's really easy to use.
Yeah, and yeah, what surprised me about this was the turning radius. But you know, there's the weight of that steering wheel that kind of
Yeah,
works against
yeah.
it. So it's sort of like you can't have the best of both
Yeah,
worlds.
yeah.
This one doesn't have like wala siyang like terrain select, control management, etc.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has none of that. I think the GRS will be appreciated more by sort of the veteran off-road.
Yeah.
They want that I worked hard for this feeling. So you have none of those assists, but I am happy that, you know, the rear diff lock button is out here. All right, so it's my turn in the Ranger Raptor, and I can immediately tell you, I feel like I'm in a Mercedes-Benz again.
It's so much easier to drive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was just looking at the screen before we started going, and you have so many driver assists.
Yes.
You have your, I mean, let's just show it later, but you do have your inclinometer, your
Yeah.
steering angle, everything's just there.
You have off-road cameras, off-road modes even. So, you know, it takes the guesswork out of
Yeah.
how much throttle I should
Yeah.
put in, should I turn on my rear diff lock or not, etc. It just takes a lot of guesswork out in off-roading.
I've driven other 4x4 Fords, like the Bronco and the Everest and even the Ranger Wildtrak, and you know, this one has features that the Bronco has. It has a few features, and you're right. It does make you feel like you're actually a good off-roader.
Yeah.
I mean, that can be dangerous because you might overestimate your
Yes, there
capabilities.
is that.
But at the end of the day, it's about how easy it is for customers, for would-be customers, to be able to drive this thing off-road. And
There's also the comfort. Like, I know the hardcore off-road enthusiasts like, no,
Yeah.
it's too soft, etc.
Yeah.
But a lot of people who buy this, a lot of them are amateur off-roaders.
yeah.
So, you know, they would like that degree of comfort kahit papano.
And you know, these pickups are becoming more of a lifestyle vehicle now than before. Like, they're not the usual workhorses or hardcore 4x4s anymore. Like you said, it takes the guesswork out of everything, and it makes off-roading so much easier than how it is. Because we're not experts.
Yeah.
But we're always confident driving this around. Because it's really easy to use. The old schoolers and the hardcore veterans and the purists might not like this, but I
Yeah.
guess we're gonna have to give the points to the
High-
Ranger Raptor.
Yeah, the
Ranger
Ranger
Raptor.
Yeah.
So 10 points to the Ranger Raptor, 9 points for the Hilux. We're now inside the Hilux GR-S, but before we talk about the interior, we have to give points for comfort because we did brush up on that earlier, but now we have to award some points.
Okay, so are we really gonna make this a long discussion?
Ranger Raptor by miles, whether on road or off road, all roads or no roads.
Yeah.
A 10 for the Ranger Raptor and 8 for the Hilux GR-S. So yeah. So let's talk about the interior.
Okay, all right, okay. Because you have a totally different opinion over this. Because I think the interior is still okay. It's not the prettiest interior in the world, but it's okay. It's sort of held up through time. Although some bits you could probably see from a previous gen Altis, like this curved dashboard and whatnot.
I have no issues with like the layout because I like the buttons. I like the small display. I mean, we owned a Hilux before. I've always found all these controls very, very ergonomic. It's just that I've been seeing this interior for so long and then nothing has changed. So I guess it's okay for me. I'm not really entirely sold on it. Like 10 years ago, I probably would have been.
Yeah, okay. But my biggest sort of con here in the Hilux is the space or lack thereof.
Yes.
Because it just feels small in here.
It's so cramped.
So yeah, that's sort of where it starts feeling its age, you know, in terms of space efficiency. Because you look at your footwell, you know, there's really not a lot, and you know the wheel wells sort of eat into the cabin. And you know, we've been in the new Triton, we've been in the Ranger. I mean, even the new D-Max feels more spacious than this.
Yeah.
This is a sign that it really needs a full model change.
Yeah, and hopefully soon. But for now, let's just jump into the Ranger Raptor and see what it looks like there.
All right. So obviously, this is a far more modern cabin.
So much more modern.
I mean, of course, you have your giant screen here. You got an electromechanical gear. It's actually not electromechanical. My mistake.
No,
It just looks electromechanical. But the point is, you know, everything is just, you know, a far more modern experience in here.
it's nicer to see and it's nicer to touch. So
Yeah.
like in terms of the interior, I think this just takes the cake like easily.
And space. It's a lot more spacious compared to the Hilux.
You know, the footwell is just bigger here in the front row.
Yes. Whether you're a Ford fan or a Ford hater or whatever it is in between, you can't deny that when it comes to attention to detail in their SUVs and pickups, they have it nailed down.
Yeah, that's the execution is just so much fun.
They are annoyingly good at that.
Yeah.
And they know, you know, what kind of people buy their lifestyle pickups. Because, you know, nobody would think of this. Who else would think of these switches, auxiliary switches, diba?
Now, my only gripe really here is that, I mean, everything's great. Even the sound system is better in the Toyotas than in the Toyotas. This one is so much better. But what I don't like about it is this: some of the controls are in the display. Like you said earlier, the rear diff.
The rear diff lock, annoyingly, is.
And it's not just a one-button affair. It's like it's not a one-click affair. You have to navigate
three
through
steps.
the.
We counted.
There.
So step one, you have to press this, and you have to wait for the screen to load, and it's taking a while to load. And then you have to press another button and another button to lock it. So, I mean, okay, the drive modes do kind of cover it, but you know, for those who prefer like a more manual setup, you know, you're gonna have to go through the menus. But other than that, ergonomics-wise, you know, ergonomics fine, we'll give it to the Japanese. But when it comes to features, amenities, space, actually a lot of things, there's no denying.
It's the Fords.
All right, so we placed the Toyota Hilux GR-S on sort of this mount to see how much the suspension, you know, flexes around, or in this case, it's called articulation. So we put the front wheels on the mount and the rear tires right by a ditch. You could see how much, you know, these suspensions are stretched out. So do you have any observations, Leander?
Actually, this isn't such a high of a mount, but it already looks like the front suspension of the Hilux is bottoming out. And let's check out the view from the back so we can see how big of an angle this is, like from here.
Yeah. So you can see from sort of down here, like the leaf spring is like extended throughout already. It's actually not bad of an angle, although the rear axle is working a little bit overtime in this case.
So now I've placed the Ranger Raptor in the same spot where Anton left the Hilux. It doesn't really feel like I'm at an inclined angle or whatever.
Yeah, but you should see your rear tire.
It just felt like a small bump. Like I was driving. Oh, this is high. Oh, this is high. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, it sounded a bit different, but there doesn't seem to be any sort of significant chassis flex. And This kind of does look like it has a bit more play left.
Yeah,
Same as with this one.
the rear pang ano, it's well because it's on coils.
Yeah, it has a different suspension setup.
Yeah, right. It's not as stretched out as much compared to the one in the Hilux a while ago. Although I did notice that the rear axle, because of the Watts linkage, it is pretty well extended. That's something I thought actually that would limit the articulation of
Because
the
of the
Raptor.
coilovers.
Yeah, but this one actually did pretty well.
Okay.
Actually, it flexed a lot less compared to the Hilux GR-S.
Like I said, even from the inside, it doesn't even feel like you're driving through a big mound like that.
If we're comparing stock versus stock, you can easily take this straight off the trail compared to the Hilux GR-S. But of course, if you want a bit of a challenge, you can go for the Hilux GR-S instead.
But since we have to award some points, I guess it's gonna have to go to this one again.
Yep,
So it's 10 points for the Ranger Raptor
and 9 for the Hilux. All right, guys, it's bedtime. Or in this case, pickup bedtime.
Dad Anton. So, all right, so let's just talk quickly about the features and the capacities of these beds. Payload capacity.
I carry 950 kilos, which is actually 100 kilos less than the Hilux Conquest. How
But
about you?
it's 200 kilos more than what the Ranger Raptor can carry. Now, they both have tailgate assist,
Yes, they
but
do.
it does feel a bit lighter there, though
Oh,
this
God.
feels a bit bulkier.
Yeah, this kind of still slams.
So it's kind of equal in terms of that. But
Yeah.
this has a wider bed than that, so
Yeah.
it feels like you can carry a bit more here. And as Carlo pointed out, this has bonus cup holders on the tailgate, so there you go. And it has two 12-volt sockets, 400 watts, so you can do a lot more with this bed, and it has bed lights. What does yours have?
A bed. Okay,
And-
so this bed, all right, I'm sorry because the Hilux is gonna take a bit of a beating here. The bed of the Hilux is actually 5 millimeters longer than the Ranger Raptor.
And that's it. That's the only thing it has against it. I guess points time. I guess it goes to the Ranger Raptor yet again. Okay, so on to our last test of the day, value for money. How much is that sticker for?
So this is 2,192,000 pesos because it's in white. So you take out,
Makakatipid ka pa.
yeah, so if you choose a different color, it's about 20,000 less, if I recall correctly. We'll put the price down here.
Now this one stickers for a hair under 2.4 million pesos. So it's a bit more expensive than that, but arguably you get a lot more features here.
Yeah, okay, so value isn't just about price, it's also about what you get. And what you get here is a more powerful engine, so 20 more horsepower.
Better
and,
braking system.
A better braking system. Of course, you have that Toyota badge. Some people will bank on that. And
it is still a Hilux. It has
yeah,
a
it is still a
reputation of
Hilux.
being sturdy as heck.
yeah,
And I guess that's the best thing it has going for it. But if you pay a bit more premium for this one, you get a much more modern interior, you get a lot more features, you get a slightly less powerful engine, but still very, very powerful. And you get a much more comfortable ride. And let's face it, the people who are gonna buy these pickups aren't gonna be off-roading half the time anyway. So you're probably gonna be driving this more on the expressway than you are on the off the beaten path. So comfort is gonna play a big role. And I
and,
really
you know,
feel like
if you do plan to take it off-road, this has more off-road toys.
Yeah. So I really feel like this has more value for money. So I guess in terms of this one, we have to give it to the Ranger Raptor.
But a
10
little
points.
bit, yes.
10 points for the Ranger Raptor, 9 for the Hilux GR-S because it still is a very darn good pickup. We are now at the end of our big test and now it's time to tally the scores. So let's start with acceleration test, Ranger 9, Hilux 10. That was kind of a big win.
Clear win for the Hilux. Now for braking,
It's
was
another
also a
win.
clear win for the Hilux.
10-9 yet again.
Yep.
And for maneuverability, actually I'm gonna run through this quickly. Maneuverability, ease of driving off-road, and comfort all go in favor of the Ranger. Interior and extra features, 10 points for the Ranger Raptor, 9 for the Hilux. And for the bed, it's kind of tight, but 10 points for the Ranger Raptor, 9 for the Hilux. For suspension articulation, also a bit tight. That was 10 points for the Ranger Raptor and 9 for the Hilux GR-S.
I think you guys are spotting a theme here now.
Lastly, value for money, 10 points for the Ranger Raptor, 9 points for the Hilux GR-S. Toyota fanboys, we're so sorry.
Yeah.
But
This is a damn good truck. We will not say this is a terrible truck, especially for those who want to go like off-road and don't want to think about everything and don't mind scratching the whole thing up, the Hilux is the way to go. But if you're an amateur off-roader and you want to feel like a hero off-road, or you're an overlander,
This is it.